Okay, people, Brand Thornton here, coming to you from just from Mormons and other saints. I got some really interesting things that I want to share, primarily with the Mormons. We got to get the Mormons activated in this cause for liberty. In their scriptures, as I've said before, Doctrine and Covenants, section 98, that anything more or less than the Constitution cometh of evil. In another scripture, in the Doctrine and Covenants, the Lord tells His people, He commands them to forsake all evil. And then you go in the 103rd section of the Doctrine and Covenants, and He says to His people, or anybody in general, that those who will not lay their life down for me are not my disciples. Well, we're in a real bad situation. In the book of Ether, chapter 8, I believe it's verses 22 through 24, it talks about this time when this worldwide conspiracy is going to reveal itself. And it says, when you see these things, consider your awful situation. Think about that. And it also says that if you let this thing get above you, this worldwide conspiracy, that you will be destroyed. This worldwide conspiracy, which as it says, seeks to destroy all nations, has gotten above us. And I think we have a very small window of opportunity to do something about it. And the Mormons, the saints, are sleeping, and they need to be waking up. A friend of mine sent me some quotes from past presidents of the Mormon Church. And this one, I've never read it before. It's by David O. McKay, who was the president and prophet of the church when I was converted. You know, anytime I would listen to David O. McKay speak, I could always feel his spirit. And to me, he was a true prophet. And I've always loved my memories of him. I thought he was an amazing man. He was the only one to wear all white. And that's what stood out in my mind. And when the next president of the church, prophet, came along, I believe it was Joseph F. Smith, he wore the traditional black suit and tie, and it was like, it actually bothered me, as I really felt that a true prophet should be dressed in white. And this statement I'm giving David McKay proves to me just how inspired the man was. I've always felt he was inspired, but this really hit home with me. And he says, and this is from the Instructor publication, February 1956, page 34. Next to being one in worshiping God, there is nothing in this world in which this church should be more united than in upholding and defending the Constitution of the United States. If members of the Melchizedek priesthood allow the U.S. Constitution to be destroyed, they not only forfeit their rights to the priesthood, but to a place in the highest degree of glory as well. Wow. And as Mormons, we always, at least with me, I always considered anything with the highest glory as a type of hell. Now that's just me. They will forfeit their rights to the priesthood. And in the Doctrine and Covenants it says, it is not meet that I should command in all things. For he that is commanded in all things is the same as a slothful and unwise servant. Verily I say unto you, men should be anxiously engaged in a good cause, and do many things of their own free will to bring to pass much righteousness. For as inasmuch as men do good, they shall in no wise lose their reward. Okay? He doesn't have to command you in all things. If he does, you're the same as a slothful and an unwise servant. All you supposed priesthood, and I say supposed, because unless you magnify your priesthood, you have no priesthood. That's the 84th section of Doctrine and Covenants. If you want to actually have the priesthood and be endowed, as it says in the 105th section of Doctrine and Covenants, that great endowment and that great blessing that He has prepared for those who are valiant, then you've got to be valiant. I mean, you're a bunch of idol worshippers. You worship BYU football. You worship all these sports. It's ridiculous. You know, what does that stadium hold? 60,000 people? And you can't even get a few thousand to stand up for what's right and what's correct? It's absolutely disgusting. Your brothers are in prison. True, valiant, priesthood holders, saints are in prison for doing the right thing. And I hear very little from you. From the general membership, I hear very, very little from you. And I go on all these Mormon blogs and I can't find anything on it. You strain in a gnat and you swallow a camel. You know? It's idol worship. As you can tell, I'm pretty disgusted. I'm very, very disgusted. But I know for an absolute fact, if the saints, if the Mormons don't wake up and start doing the right thing, the end has come for them. Even Brigham Young said, I find the people within His people who will do the right thing, who will uphold the Constitution, who will be an ensign to the nations. Because right now, you're not an ensign to the nations. Just another corporation. Just another corporation. Live in admiralty law. In direct violation of what the Lord commanded, to live the law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States. An inspired document. Joseph Smith said it was the same as Scripture. And what's it going to take? What is it going to take for you to wake up? Because I'm going to tell you, this noose is getting tighter and tighter every day. Right now it's very, very tight. And you'll reach a point where no matter what you do, it's too late. Now, myself, I've been very vocal, and I tend to continue to be very, very vocal. We have in our state, the state of Utah, a concerted conspiracy, and this is no theory because it's easily proven. In the state constitution of the state of Utah, it says, no corporation or association shall bring any armed person or bodies of men into the state for the preservation of peace or the suppression of domestic trouble without authority. That is law enforcement. That is peacekeeping. And that is Article 12, Section 16 of the Constitution of the state of Utah. No corporation or association shall bring any armed person or bodies of men into the state, etc. Very well known fact that BLM is a corporation out of Puerto Rico. They're in direct violation to the Utah State Constitution, which is the law of the land. How do we get rid of them? We have presented a plan. We have presented a petition for redress of grievances to the governor to fund the militia. People, that's what it's boiled down to, because I'm going to tell you what, those sheriffs are between a rock and a hard spot. They don't have the manpower to resist what's there right now, let alone what's coming. I've talked to them. I can see it in their eyes. They are between a rock and a hard spot. And I can see it in their eyes. They want to do the right thing, but they also realize it could mean their life. And if you can't get the support of the people, at the very least, it's going to mean their career. So you got to stand up. You got to do something. You know? Remember the banner of liberty in Moroni. Your families, your God, and your country. You're not doing it. You're not even close. And what's so disheartening, I look at the people that I know that I always considered great Latter-day Saints, men of honor, spiritual men. I don't even know where they are. I don't hear anything from them. Of my missionary companions. Where are you? And I can name names. I don't want to do that. I don't want to embarrass anybody. You know who you are. Bishops, especially bishops. You know, I always looked up to every bishop I ever had. I admired them immensely. Don't hear anything. Stake presidents, you don't hear anything. You know? If you think for 1 minute you're going to get anything out of Salt Lake City, you're not going to. I already saw what they've done. I already saw the reports they issued. I saw their threats. I mean, why shouldn't I not take them at face value when they condemned some patriots doing a patriotic thing? They condemned it. And some people are trying to make an excuse, well, and understandably so, that, well, that's not the brethren. Baloney. That is your First Presidency. That is your Quorum of the 12 and all the rest. That is them. Because they had plenty of time to fix those reports. They didn't fix anything. Brothers and sisters, my fellow Americans, especially those who call themselves after the Mormon belief system, the Latter-day Saints, you got to prove it with you got to be doers of the word, not hearers only, as James said. You know, it's easy to be a keyboard warrior. It's easy to go to church every Sunday and enjoy the company of each other. But unless you're actually doing something valiant, especially now, it's just a big social club. That's all it is. Now's the time. Now is the time. You know, to live up to your covenants. When I went to the temple, you know, my hands and arms were washed and anointed. To wield the sword in defense of truth. I took that very serious, and I still do. Where are you? All those that went through the temple and took those covenants. Was it just a... What was it to you? What was it to you? Just so you could say, hey, I went to the temple and I can wear the holy garment. That garment means nothing unless you make it mean something. Those covenants mean nothing unless you make them mean something. And your country is distressed. Your fellow man is distressed. Your God is distressed. Your Savior's embarrassed of you right now. He's ashamed of you right now. This breaks my heart. And you all got children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren that are going to suffer. They're going to suffer, they're going to torture, and they're going to bleed and die for nothing. Because we can still win this thing. All you got to do is have some faith. For the power is in you wherein you are agents unto yourselves. You have the power. You have your agency. exercise it. Exercise your faith. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed of God. For He is the power of salvation. You got to do something. You got to do it now. This is like the last. This is less than the last hour. There's no time left. I'm telling you, there's no time left. I know what's coming. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I actually had boots on the ground with Lieutenant Colonel Roy Potter. We went and saw the FEMA camps. We did the research. We know there's guillotines there. The one north of Vegas, you can easily put 50,000 people in there. The one north of Phoenix, same thing. And that's just two. They're all over the place. I pray for you nightly. I shed tears for you. I water my pillow at night. I'm in deep fear for you and your families and my family. I just pray to God that you wake up in time. I seriously pray to God that you get serious. And don't say, what can I do? I mean, there's a million things you can do. There's so many things you can do. I'm not even saying take up arms, but you can go to your bishop, you can go to your stake president and voice your concerns and say, I will not sustain somebody that's not going to stand up for valiancy and the truth and the Constitution and Moroni's flag of liberty. If they won't do that, don't sustain them. They're not worth it. Put people in there that will do those things and take it all the way to the top. If you have to march in front of Temple Square, do it. I put my life on the line. I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done myself or wouldn't do. God giveth no commandment unto the children of man, save He prepare a way that they can fulfill that commandment. He commanded you to forsake all evil. It's a commandment from God to the Latter-day Saints. And I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to quit. And I will continue to beat on that door. And I will continue to wake you up. Please, please. Take this to the Lord in solemnity, in sincerity. Get on your knees and pray. Ask for guidance, what you should do. Because there's an awful lot you can do. Thank you, and good day.